Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The night is still young, and we still have so much heroes for you guys left to go. We are into the semis. Shane Gucher and I following the Barrel Boys off to the side of the bracket because up next is a longtime rival. The LunatiK eSports guys are in the ESL majors, but they still, I think, have yet to put a point on the board against these longtime dominant Barrel Boys.
Yeah, Barrel Boys have just been playing so well. They're pretty much undefeated going back all the way to about 2-3 weeks ago. Haven't dropped a single series whatsoever, which is just really just kind of shows off how strong of a team they are, how strong of a team they are becoming. They've been known as a strong team, and I won't be surprised if in the future that they might be a top contender for ESL majors. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out and how they build as a team. Right now, though, between these two teams, the draft is underway. The map is going to be Cursed Hollow. And sorry, Sean, once again, Sergeant Hammer being banned out by LunatiK.
No! All I want is a Sergeant Hammer game. Why is that so hard to ask?
She's a good hero, man. She's a super good hero. Listen, think about it this way, Sean. You were playing Sergeant Hammer before it was cool.
Yep, right? Absolutely. FourCourtJester is in attendance. FourCourt Hammer, more like it. But Hammer the hipster, either way. Yeah, she's just absolutely a terrifying pick on some of these bigger maps, especially Cursed Hollow. She can really do a lot of work in party lanes. She can put up a lot of siege pressure elsewhere. And overall, she's just a ranged menace that nobody really wants to deal with. But on the flip side, another common ban, the Barrel Boys are going to be taking out Rhaegar from the pool. Yep. And Rhaegar has either been a pick in representation or a ban pretty much all of our games tonight.
Yeah, banning out the Rhaegar really forces the enemy team to draft a certain way, and it's able to basically, it sets up not only yourself to basically, it opens you up to where you can respond well to what the enemy team is drafting. Anytime a Rhaegar is banned out and a Sergeant Hammer is banned out, you almost see exclusively Vala being picked up next. One hero that we haven't seen much of at all today, which is quite bizarre if you ask me, is Nazeebo. We've seen him, I think, maybe 1 or 2 times, but there's been a couple games when he's been outright ignored, which is quite bizarre just because he's such a strong hero. There's times where we see him banned. He's first picked him a good chunk of the time. I know Actions Per Minute put a huge emphasis on him. Actions Per Minute love drafting Nazeebo and Malfurion together, and we haven't seen him much, man. But as the draft goes on, Barrel Boys using their first 2 picks to get up Tyrande and the Uther. They put a lot of emphasis on this Tyrande, and they have had a lot of success with this Tyrande.
Is this 3 games for 3 with Barrel Boys picking up Tyrande within the first half of their picks? That's it definitely goes to show that, you know, she went from a non-factor not just, what, 2 months ago, before the new year, I believe, nobody had ever really heard of a Tyrande pick, and now she is literally the top tier. And she's not even a support necessarily, but she brings a lot of utility to it, a lot of bruiserdom. She's like the next incarnation of the Tassadar syndrome, where she is just really good at everything except taking, you know, hits to the face. So as a first pick material, Barrel Boys has really prioritized her and has, well, obviously done really good work with her because here they are into the semis undefeated. Now, the Uther as well, that's a really nice, solid pick, I think, because the Barrel Boys, if it is going to be a LunatiK setup here for an Illidan, at least they have a nice counter engage. But if it's not, then they have a nice offensive engage with the follow-up with a Divine Storm.
Yeah, and look at that. Another Jaina's being picked up earlier and earlier, which is interesting because Jaina is not one of those heroes that you can just lackadaisically throw into a draft and, you know, it be okay. She has certain heroes and certain strategies that just outright counter her. So it's interesting to see teams are obviously feeling a little bit more confident with Jaina. They're getting a little bit more skilled, not having to rely on other certain variables to play her effectively. They're going, you know what? We as a team are good enough to put Jaina in any situation and come out of it ahead. And that's definitely what LunatiK eSports feels like, because I don't know why they would pick up a Jaina here with still 3 picks to be done by Barrel Boys, especially when Illidan and Diablo both are still on the table. There's a Tassadar, so I think we're either going to... Illidan is definitely a choice right here for Barrel Boys. They completely forgoed it last game on Sky Temple, but it would still be a good choice here, and also ETC and Diablo is available for them to pick up as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what kind of frontliner would slot in here with the Barrel Boys. I'm thinking more of an ETC because the harder you have an engage on top of the Jaina, the far better of a time you're going to have managing her. This also could just be a deny pick, Shane. We did just see that combo with the Tyrande, with the Jaina, with the Stitches last round from the Barrel Boys. This time, LunatiK on a big map like Curse, they have set up themselves a nice roaming comp with the hook into the triple magical dump coming out from Jaina. So could be an early game pressure tactic to try to grab themselves that experience, but it also could just be this deny pick because the Tyrande and the Jaina as a roam is absolutely devastating. I'm going to say that I'm looking more towards an ETC here from Barrel Boys. It's a bigger map in terms of the Cursed Hollow. They could use the global prescience. I'm not really going to see a Brightwing into the mix here, just like what we saw last round. So you get that global presence. Again, you have another hard engage tool into this. You could have the ETC into the stuns, into the Uther. So I'm thinking that. But then, you know, you do need that ranged DPS. Nazeebo has been few and far between today.
Yeah. And there's a lot of choices that Barrel Boys can go here. What they could do is pick Diablo. And then LunatiK eSports is definitely going to feel threatened by the last pick of Barrel Boys being Illidan. Well, what can they do about it? Well, they don't really have a lineup well-suited to pick an Illidan. But no, they're going to go with the ETC. ETC is definitely equally as strong of a hero in a little bit of different way than Diablo. And the big thing I feel like that Barrel Boys has against that Jaina is a cleanse. They had it as well as the Lunar Flare. Now, Barrel Boys faced Happy Fairy Dragons, and that was the same situation for them on Sky Temple. They had a cleanse for the Gorge into the Blizzard, into the Lunar Flare, but there were a couple times that even with the cleanse, people still just got absolutely blown up. So yeah, I definitely, actually, now the more I look at it, I agree that I feel like that Jaina was a little bit of a counter pickup. They saw the Uther, they saw the Tyrande. That immediately kind of threw up a red flag. We're going to see some sort of pickoff comp here. We don't want them to get, you know, compound the power that they already have with the Jaina. Let's go ahead and pick it up ourselves.
So they're into their pool time here. LunatiK, they still need a support. The best candidate on this is going to be a Malfurion because we already have the Rhaegar banned out, Uther taken. Tassadar doesn't really come into the healing equation when it comes to a support. But again, the Barrel Boys set themselves up for the triple or the 2.5, depending on how you like to view Tyrande. So LunatiK, we've seen this before with other teams. You need to go heavier on the damage. So I am more inclined to say it's going to be a Malfurion. If it will be the Wombo combo with the stuns coming up from Barrel Boys with the Ravenous, at least they can diffuse a lot of it with a good tranquility. And you can also even go into an ice block there from the healer, and that way he doesn't have to deal with a lot of the pressure, but he can still heal up the rest of the friends. I'm going to say it's another damage dealer coming out here, and it might not be an Illidan comp, although he's still very much on the board here for the Barrel Boys. LunatiK, they might just go for that Faust of the Tychus that we've been seeing, or they're going to look for that reset with a Zagara. That's more of what I'm thinking here.
Yeah. Zeratul is also an option. I don't know LunatiK to know if they run Zeratul, because it's kind of how Barrel Boys ran Zeratul last game and ran it fairly effectively, with a little bit of difficulty, but effectively nonetheless. And that is they have the Stitches for the hook. They have the Malfurion Roots for a good follow-up after the hook. They have Malfurion Roots for a good follow-up after a Void Prison. They have the follow-up after that also with Jaina. So a good Void Prison on top of the Malfurion and Jaina synergy, though at the same time, that's also the same for Zagara. That is an interesting pickup right there. LunatiK eSports going with something we don't see too often. And that is a double warrior composition, Diablo and ETC, into the front line. So LunatiK has a heavy front line. They have a lot of sustain in these team fights, assuming that they don't get just absolutely blown up with the bursty sort of lineup that Barrel Boys has. So this is interesting. Double warrior is something we don't see that often anymore, Sean.
Especially not with, you know, a bit more of a damagey warrior. I mean, the Stitches is already there. He can put up those big damage numbers, but you don't really see Diablo kind of topping those charts. You don't really think of him as that big threat, but you know, LunatiK, I guess they want to try to weather the storm a little bit rather than try to burst out at someone because there's the Odin last pick from the Barrel Boys, as we were thinking. With the ETC dive, they got a lot of stuns, a lot of heals on the back of that. Double healing ward now for the Barrels this round as well, and that will go into phenomenal numbers for that Illidan, just supporting him in his dive tendencies. But yeah, I would have been very happy, I think, with a Tychus. I mean, a Tychus is a very big response to a lot of these Illidan pickups these days. And I would have liked to see that big damage number, because if they could have gotten a hook on top of the healer, bam, you get the kill. It's a 4-on-5. And, you know, the Uther's not going to go anywhere. The Tyranda's not going to go anywhere. You could force out early presciences and dimensional warps from the Tassadar. But, you know, that's why they're the pros and we're the casters, Shane. They see things a little differently than we do. Yes. And we're going to have to see how this double tank combo will work out for LunatiK here on Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the Illidan pick was the go-to one there. A little bit of a delay here, guys. Dahu is AFK, so we're going to have a little bit of some downtime.
I didn't say that. I didn't hear anyone say that.
Looking at the history between these two teams, the last time they faced off was in ESL Majors. That was the 3rd on Tuesday last week. And Barrel Boys came out ahead on that match. I believe it was a 2-0 if I recall correctly. I didn't actually see the matches, though. So Barrel Boys already knows that they can take out LunatiK eSports. They've been taking out everyone left and right, just knocking them down and knocking them down. On the other side of the coin, LunatiK eSports, they've been having some hit and miss success. Like I said, in ESL week number 13, they got to the round of 8. In ESL number 12, they also got to the round of 8. And this is the furthest I've seen them get into a ESL Go4Heroes American Weekly Cup in quite some time. So they definitely are going into this match feeling confident, feeling good about themselves. So if we are going to see a little bit of a upset, I believe this is where we're going to see it right now here, Sean. The game is loading in. The map is Cursed Hollow. The teams, Barrel Boys versus LunatiK eSports. This is going to be a great match. This is the semifinals, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever wins this is going to go into the finals, the best of 3. What are your thoughts going into this game right now, Sean?
I'm actually thinking if we have a victor already from Cloud9 Vortex and Wildfire, but both of those guys, you know, we don't really get to see a lot of them. Winner of that will face off against the winner of this. And I'm thinking again, you know, this 2.5, this 3 support lineup from Barrel Boys has done work today. The multiple healing wards to go with the shields, the heals, and the stun lockups is absolutely like a sleeper devastation kind of hit. Agreed. So I am favoring Barrel Boys a little bit. It's going to come down to this Diablo pick from LunatiK eSports to really impress me. And, you know, don't get it wrong. I queue and I play, and I absolutely love both these teams to death. They're absolutely wonderful to hang around and cast and all that. But in terms of pure numbers, I'm thinking it's the Barrels. And thinking of the Barrels, they are here and sitting pretty on blue. It's going to be Erho with that ETC. Trummel holding down the mid on Tassadar. Kionda, McIntyre, and Blinks going to be setting up the party lane bottom for this best of 1.
And on the right side of your map, in red, is going to be LunatiK eSports Protege, playing Malfurion Dahu on Diablo. Sky, lol, playing the Jaina. Mid lane being played is the Stitches on Hospital on Stitches. And Ivy Slime playing the Vala Demon Hunter down there in the bottom lane. So I'm expecting to see some early game aggression coming out here from LunatiK eSports. They're looking to bait out Arrow a little bit, but they definitely have some good roaming compositions that can get some pickoffs on heroes if they execute it appropriately. And looking at it so far, it looks like they're putting 3 people into the top lane. Very interesting choice as, excuse me, usually we see a lot of contention over this bottom lane, but I guess they want to go, you know what, this is the lane where our boss is. Let's push this in so later in the game we can use that boss to really get some damage done.
Malfurion bot now going to be in attendance. That's curious, but Erho is... Yeah, I was going to say, where is he going? Either way, I don't really expect to see a lot actually happening top or bottom or mid. We have been seeing a lot of passive play today in this early games, and neither comp really looks like it's going to be setting up. Oh, we might need to restart because Protege... Oh, all right.
Hooray.
Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Slime going to get a stun into this bottom lane, but I don't really see a lot of early game aggression from either of these comps. Nobody's roaming. There's not going to be any kind of big counter pressure to worry about. It's just going to be push, 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 and both teams seem to be in that mentality, both top and bottom.
Now, Barrel Boys did a little bit of a switch up. ETC was top lane. He went ahead and swung into the mid lane, and Tassadar went up into the top lane instead. And I like that decision. ETC knows that he can do next to nothing against this tri-lane that LunatiK is pushing into here. And Tassadar can do a little bit better damage. He has better AoE, better wave clear, he has better survivability, and he can mitigate a lot of the damage by shielding those towers, which is exactly what he's doing right now. We've hit the 2-minute mark, so mercenary camps are on the map. No teams are really going to run and gun away to those. Mercenary camps don't have as much priority as they used to. They're definitely a good fallback mechanism to use when nothing else can really get done. Both of these teams are almost mirroring each other action, man. Just putting 3 members of your team into the lane where your boss is. Good solo laners in the other 2 lanes, soak efficiently, wait for the tribute, business as usual, and there it is. First tribute of the match right there in the bottom lane.
And that's going to be good positioning here for the Barrel Boys. Now, it does look like Protoges has returned, although he is kind of just saying, what is going on in this top lane? Trummel is not leaving this top, which means that the Barrel Boys, if they're not going to actually grab this now, and it doesn't look like Slime has any ideas of contention, they're gonna again look just really strong because they got that top lane soak. Daihu has actually backtracked all the way back to the top for that soak as well, but nobody is there was no big rush for the tribute. It was just good positioning by the Barrels, and either LunatiK just wasn't prepared for it, or they said it's not worth it by the end of it, by the time that they were able to evaluate. So instead, they're now going to start their own little bit of roaming. Protoges and Psy are going for their bruisers, while at the same time, McIntyre is doing the same thing.
One of the strengths to Illidan, once he hits that level 4 and gets immolation, it really helps with his ability to get to solo mercenary camps and get some wave clear. And so they are utilizing that appropriately in a very effective manner. They're not having to take 2 people off the map like what LunatiK is doing to get the Bruiser camp, which is going to enable Barrel Boys to have a little bit more presence on the map for a small period of time. They have a very, very small experience advantage, if any at all. This experience is dead even across the board. Still 0-0, waiting on the next tribute, and it's going to be just north of where the other one is. And luck is definitely favoring Barrel Boys tonight, Sean, because that's 2 tributes back-to-back that are in great position for them.
Yeah, the next one is very likely to be in the top and closer to the side of LunatiK because of the way that the algorithm does work. But it will for sure be in the top lane next. Both teams very likely to know that. You are right with the experience lead. Absolutely nothing being given from both sides. Daihu, however, is trying to deal with McIntyre here into the mid. Protoge's coming up, though, and they're looking for this insta-game on top of Trummel. It looks like they're really going to dedicate to this as McIntyre tries his best to get these body blocks off, and it looks like Trummel will live to see another day. But will Protoges be afforded the same luxury? Looks like he will. A nice push away by Daihu. But what has happened down at the tribute? It looks like the rest of the Barrel Boys were forced off it, and that was a Jaina pickup from Psy.
Yeah, it was, while that was all going on in the mid lane, down by the tribute was a 3v3. It was a Jaina Malfurion Avala versus the Tyron, Tassadar, and ETC, and the AoE and the snares that they had just pushed him out of there. There's a first blood right there, ladies and gentlemen. Diablo getting taken out into the mid lane. McIntyre is just going to stick to you, man. You cannot get away from that Illidan. So the Demon Hunter chasing down the Demon and taking out Diablo as the first blood. A little bit of an advantage going the way of Barrel Boys, though more than likely both of these teams are going to be hitting their heroics before the next tribute.
Wow, so yeah, Demon Hunter killing a demon. Well, I guess, that was his intent. And there it is. All right, so a little bit of time before the next tribute. We are about to hit 10s on both sides as McIntyre goes up and says hello to Slime. But in terms of the towns, looks like Tyrande is again once more going to be favoring out the Rangers mark, looking for shooting star at level 16, very likely. We have a cleanse on at least the side here of the Barrels. Where is that tribute? Oh, it's not up yet, that's why. We do got the mosh pit coming out here from the Heroics, though, on top of the ETC. Starfall to go with that, and the big stuns, Metamorphosis. It is a very big Wombo setup here from the Barrels. We have to see if they can use this to their advantage. But one thing I do want to point out before this big engage, level 7 Toxic Gas coming out from the Stitches. You're going to be looking for a little bit more damage from him this game as well. That will look great for Future Bile.
Went with Future Bile, which is a great tool at dealing with the heavy frontline initiation that LunatiK has. It's going to make their lives a living nightmare, or maybe hellish if you're the Diablo player. Good hook onto Trouble. Hospital channeling his inner air hook. You guys watched last game. That man's the beast on Stitches. That's probably one of the reasons why they picked up too early. Dahu in the thick of it. There is a Divine Storm on top of a Hunter's Mark. A pretty good Rain of Vengeance, but a little bit too late as the damage has been done. And right now, LunatiK are just getting torn apart. They have to retreat, not only retreat, but maybe get some more getting taken down here. Like I said, McIntyre is going to stick onto him like glue. Barely going to be able to get another kill onto Hospital. So a 3-0. They're going to get themselves a tribute. Are they going to be able to get themselves a boss here?
Well, on the back of 2 kills and the tribute, going for the boss is definitely the logical way to go. We still have 8 seconds to even hook pressure, and between the damage of that Immolate, of that Illidan, and the Hunter's Mark come out from Kianda, it's going to be absolutely a turkey shoot, and it's about to drop. Dahu dropping that last fight without even getting to use that Lightning Breath. He's going to use it right now, but he doesn't get it off. I did not know that Airho could interrupt it there with that Mosh, but Proteges is now going to be kind of caught there in the front. It was not a steal. It will be the blue boss marching towards the red team, and Slime just does not have the damage he needs to take home another kill off of this. So still a really better engage and trade from the barrels. I might be speaking a little bit too soon as Airho is still thinking of dying. All right, 2 for 2.
Okay.
But now we got to deal with that boss top lane, Shane.
So at least LunatiK got something out of that fight. They got a kill out of it, though the damage has been done, man. That team fight looked like it could have gone either way. Yeah, the Diablo Breath Fire, I'm not sure what happened there. I thought
it definitely looked like
stop it with the exception of like Void Prison and things like that. But
it looked like it cut short off. Or cut off short.
If that didn't happen, I feel like that team fight would have gone into LunatiK's hands. So that is going to enable Barrow Boys to get that tribute that spawned in the bottom lane. And now Barrow Boys are going to pick themselves up a boss on top of a curse. So this boss is going to have a free expressway to the bottom lane, take down this fort, continue to push that experience advantage that they have. Looking at the level 13 talents, looks like fairly standard stuff coming out from every member of Barrow Boys. Sprint up on the Uther. There's the Lunar Blaze, pretty much the go-to pick for Tyron at level 13. And business as usual, now level 13 here for LunatiK. Down in the mid lane, Dahu is completely caught out of position, and a good Divine Storm to secure the kill on him. Dahu has been getting torn apart in these team fights. The Hunter's Mark, the Hammer Justice, the Lunar Flare has just been keeping him in place and just enabling Barrow Boys to pick him apart.
We got 12 seconds left here on this curse, and I for sure foresee this fort going to be dropping. We have still so many ults ready to go here from the Barrow Boys, and a level 15 advantage, 15 and a quarter after this fort is about to drop, and that's going to be looking us very closely at a 16 talent tier advantage, and that is going to be a very rough fight for the LunatiKs. They need to kind of get engaged earlier rather than later, try to put some points onto the board before that 16 talent tier kicks in, but unfortunately they're just not finding any way to do this, and even with those relentless pickups from our double tanks, they are still absolutely getting stun locked, body blocked, and dropped from the Barrow Boys.
So level 13 is a very big power spike, and is much needed for LunatiK, as now they have a Shrink Ray to deal with the Illidan. Shrink Ray is so very good at dealing with the Illidan. Another thing to consider at level 16 is the imposing presence that's going to be coming out from the frontliners as well, and that's one of the most biggest counter talents that exists in the game to Illidan, because Illidan has a very fast auto attack speed, and he's so very reliant due to his combat trait on getting those auto attacks off. If Illidan can't get those auto attacks off, then he simply isn't nearly as effective as he normally is. So imposing presence is going to be a big power spike for LunatiK, and they need it soon, very, very soon.
We do have one on the Uther here as well, so Vala got to be keeping that in mind, the Jaina here as well, even to a lesser degree. The Stitches and the Diablo, I mean, you need to be spreading out a lot of these damage, as much damage as you can. And, based upon the way that the Stitches have been going, with the heavy slam, he has the Putrid Ground there as well to infect with the Vile Gas, and then he took the Toxic Gas on top of that, just to make sure he's trying to do more and more damage. At 16, I'm fully expecting to see the Stun Slam, because they need to try to counter this control with some of the control of their own. The peels are just not there. There's no real big, heavy lockups from LunatiK eSports, and so far they have just been losing this game from basically level 10 onward.
Yeah, the Protect the Jaina is just not working out for him. It's starting to turn into a Protect the Diablo. He has 4 deaths already.
Just not a game you should be playing.
Yes, it's Protect the Diablo. I mean, the Diablo has twice as many deaths as any other team member on his team. So Barrow Boys has been exploiting that Diablo pick, and that's something we see all the time with the Tyrande pick, is Diablo is really susceptible to just getting completely picked apart once he does initiate. That's one of the weaknesses of the hero, and why we see Lightning Breath is he initiates with Shadow Charge, uses Overpower on the appropriate target, and then he's kind of in an awkward situation, right? Because he can't get out of that. He has to slowly stumble and crawl his way out of the place that he put himself, Or with Lightning Breath, what it enables him to do is stand his ground and go, okay, you guys are going to try to pick me apart. Well, I'm going to sit here and just, you know, light you all on fire. It does a considerable amount of damage. And that's the reason why we see Diablo has been picked up in the meta, is that exact same playstyle and tactic that is utilized with him. But with the Tyrande Hunter's Mark, it enables them to kill that Diablo before any large amount of damage is done by the Breathe Fire.
And we've only really seen one Lightning Breath so far, and even then it was cut off short. So finally, we have now farmed up enough level 16s. No more passive play coming out here from LunatiK, as they're going to be needing to look for this engage. It is actually not going to be that stun slam. It will be the fishing hook. So they are looking for Hospital to get some of these picks off. We did actually have a boss just going up here. Trumbull's going to be found there in top of the bush, but the rest of the team is still here. Whether or not LunatiK knows that is going to be up in the air. Hospital's really looking for that hook, because he's looking for that hook spot right there. You also see a ping now over there as well, just saying, gotta get this perfect, guys. A hook here could help bring this game back to their favor, but they're very hesitant. Look at this.
They hook Arrow, then all of a sudden they're in a position to all get mosh booked. They hook Tassadar, he's just going to dimensional shift away. Dahu once again in the front lines. He's able to get away this time. There's the Breathe Fire, but that's what I was talking about, Sean. He just got absolutely destroyed before he was able to do anything. Illidan jumped into the back lines with Diablo being down. No one to protect the Jaina. So Jaina and Vala are getting picked apart. McIntyre's now chasing down Protege. He's in his own little world up here in the northern part of the map, chasing him down. McIntyre's been playing a phenomenally strong Illidan through the course of this match. Protege is going to be taken down here more than likely. They can't not do anything about Illidan. I feel like that's the big problem here. Mosh pit on Dahu. Now he's going to be down again, upwards of 45 seconds. But I feel like the big problem for LunatiK is they simply haven't been able to control McIntyre's Illidan, and he has been walking all over them.
Absolutely. I mean, that was 5 kills. Even those 4 deaths on the board, that's 2 in a row for the Diablo. No Lightning Breath, no Apocalypse, and very much no presence in a lot of these last team fights. That's going to be a keep. We got a second tribute up because I guess nobody actually captured it. All right. So that's not going to be the curse. Not going to be the curse, but it will actually be the bait just to try to get LunatiK out of their base a little bit farther here, but McIntyre is just going right over these walls, using them as launching points in and out of it. Hospital with that Putrid Vial. I mean, you see the green carpet, and unfortunately, I don't know why he's at the very end of it. He's going to go down, and nobody's going to get gooped up on their sticky floor. And it's just 13 kills to 2. I can't see LunatiK actually coming back out of this one, Shane.
It's just they have to control that Illidan better. They have to initiate a little bit better. They have to get off the... I mean, the Diablo has to initiate a little bit more intelligently. He's been kind of haphazardly going into these team fights and going, okay, after initiate, I can just breathe fire. But again, the name of the game for Barrel Boys has been taking this Illidan out of the team fight. I'm not this Illidan. This Diablo out of the team fight before anything is done. And that's been the Achilles heel of LunatiK. They really have to do something with this Diablo pick, or else the game is just going to continue to trend the way it's been trending. And that is, they initiate, they don't have enough wherewithal to survive the burst of the Hunter's Mark into the Lunar Flare, into the Hammer Justice, into the Divine Storm, etc., etc. They really got to figure out what they need to do with that Diablo, or else it's just all downhill from Barrel Boys.
I'm really curious to see if Barrel Boys are even going to stop this boss, but it looks like they will. The leash does happen. Hospital goes in real deep, and Airhose is going to come right behind him, try to punch him on forward. There we go, the Lightning Breath of Legends.
That's what they're looking for.
Will go down without a mosh, but that's going to be Blinks now in the back. We got the Archon there, but Tyrande is now dead in the water, and Blinks is soon to follow if Slime has his way, and he does. 3 kills all of a sudden, with finally the best initiation we have seen from LunatiK, and the Lightning Breath, and the boss, and the tribute. This is a wild late game swing for them.
That is what they were looking for. Right as I was talking about, they need to get something done with this Diablo. Diablo just goes ahead and brings the 10 out of 10 Halitosis all over Barrel Boys. The ETC went down. Uther got stuck in a phenomenally placed Malfurion Roots is really what initiated that team fight. Though the whole entire time top lane has been pushing out. Thankfully though, no hull damage has been done to the core. Shields are still up, Captain. And so Barrel Boys is going to get themselves the boss of Barrel Boys. I'm sorry, LunatiK is going to get Barrel Boys. Oh my gosh, Barrel Boys.
I'm going to step in here, Shane. Bottom boss taken by LunatiK. The top boss now also going to be taken by LunatiK because of that pressure created. Everybody here from Bear Boys has to go and defend this bottom gate, and that will lead you into the dual boss situation. Now, the great news for LunatiK is that we still don't have 20 here from the barrels, but the next tribute is spawning, and they're going to be in a fantastic map position in order to take it and get their first curse of the game.
And that curse is probably going to be the biggest curse, as these keeps are just so susceptible to being taken out. Any team fight at this point in time could just be the end of the game. However, Barrow Boys, despite the fact that for the first time in the game, they were fighting a little bit from behind. They lost their first team fight. Still have a good advantage going into this. They just hit level 20. LunatiK does not have level 20. So this is still a big power spike, a big power play that they have ahead of him. This might secure them a late game curse. No, that's not the way you start that up. Arahu just got completely dunked on. He's going to go down, though. The fall is going down as well. A warrior for a DPS. The problem here, LunatiK is fighting on top of that Starfall. They're taking so much AoE damage. Protege is going to go down. Jane is going to go down. And once again, Barrow Boys came back after getting knocked to the ground, almost get taken out. And now they're just going to brush themselves off. They're going to get this Diablo taken out. Maybe? There he goes. So a 4 for 1 exchange, soon to be a 5 for 1 exchange. And this is probably just going to be the game right here, Sean.
So we should have actually given up that curse from LunatiK. As soon as they noticed that the boss in the top lane was going uncontested, they should have backed off. They threw down a hook. They used Hospital in that fishing hook. They were looking for a pick, but they didn't get it. They should not have started out that fight. They should have all ran. And because you can fight to live another day, but unfortunately when you die right off the bat, I mean, sure they got Airho, but their positioning, Slime was just way too far forward. And as you said, there was so much Starfall damage going down there. LunatiK had a great chance there for a comeback defense, but it will not be. They showed signs of life there at the end, but ESL Cup number 14 semi-finalist winners will be the Barrels as they move on to the finals.
Oh, look at it go. As the Witch Doctor, who we haven't seen played at all today, says, LunatiK, they lost that game in almost the exact same fashion that Winter lost their game against Barrow Boys. And that is that they were in the situation where, okay, the Barrow Boys has level 20. The enemy team did not. In this situation, obviously, the enemy team being LunatiK. LunatiK didn't have level 20. Barrow Boys did. This tribute that spawned was going to grant them a late game curse that will inevitably allow them to kill off at least 1 keep, potentially the last of the remaining keeps, 2 keeps. That's a hard situation to be in, being down 3 keeps on Curse Hollow. LunatiK has to decide. There's 1 of 2 things. Do we sack the tribute, go to lanes, soak, also get level 20, and try to defend on even ground with level 20 talents against a curse? Or do we outright just try to defend at the tribute and try to win with a talent deficit? And a level 20 talent deficit nonetheless, probably the second, if not the most important talent tier in Heroes of the Storm. And it's just, I mean, 2 out of 2. When teams do that, when they try to force the issue, when they don't have their level 20 talents, it doesn't work out for them well. And that's what enabled Barrow Boys to take that game in the end there, man.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know how they managed it, but killing off Airho twice in a row for those last fights set them up very nicely. Unfortunately, they didn't have that positional advantage in that last one, and there they go. So history repeats. Barrow Boys are here into the finals, and it looks like they do have an opponent ready to go. It will be for the finals, best of 3, game number 1. Going to be coming at you in just a moment here, guys. Cloud9 of Vortex is going to be here up against the Barrels for the winners here of the Cup number 14. We will return in just a few with game number 1. Place your bets in the chat. Say hello to us. Go find your friends. Tell them about this amazing matchup about to happen. Get them here into the stream, because when we return, we got a heck of a best of 3 for you, and we will see you then. That's not an option. You're coming back. We will see you then, Shane and I. And yeah, stay around.